Hey y'all, it's Michal and welcome to Friday Flow. I'm really excited about today's practice. We'll want 2 blocks for practice. We're gonna do a lot to really work on our low lunge. So it'll be very centered in our hips and a lot in our shoulders. There'll be some breath work and generally, I hope a really good time and some really meaningful challenges. With that, you'll wanna grab 2 blocks, a comfortable place for you to practice, and let's get started. So lie all the way down onto the floor. I've got my block outside my hip. Lie all the way down into a comfortable position. For me today, I'm gonna choose heels as wide as the mat, arms out into a big T, and softening the gaze towards the ceiling or closing the eyes completely, your choice. And let these first few moments of practice allow you to arrive. And if you don't have a practice of tuning into your body, start to establish one here by noticing the shape that you chose. Noticing what parts of you are connected to the mat and the ground underneath the mat. Notice any physical sense in the body that's grabbing your attention. Do your best to stay away from judging it. And just notice that it's there. And over and over and over again as we move throughout practice. We'll stay away from judgment because that's the thinking mind, and come back towards felt sense because that's the body. And that's what we're here to do, is attune a little bit more to our bodies. Taking a deeper breath in, and try to let it fill your belly. Part your lips and let go. Another inhale. And exhale. Last one here. And the work of the mind today will be to focus it on the body. Starting to take some wiggles through your fingers, your toes. You might wrist circle, ankle circle. Stretch your arms overhead. Big first thing in the morning reach. You might lengthen through one side and the other. Eventually you'll slide your legs in so that you can draw your knees in towards your chest, finding a rock from side to side. And draw your knees off to the right side, taking a twist, cactusing your left arm out into a W or a T shape. And draw your knees back through to the center and take them all the way over to the left. Big twist. Make the breath just as big. Draw your knees back in towards the center. We're gonna roll off onto our right side body. So you might plant your feet and scoot your hips a little bit over to the left side of your mat. Extend your right arm overhead and roll over onto your right side. You can prop yourself up onto your right palm or keep your head resting on your bicep. Honestly, it's like whatever is most comfortable for you today. We'll extend the legs away, and then I want you to find a small bend in the bottom leg so that you can use it for stability and balance here, so that the 2 hips stay stacked over top one another. And take your top hand, plant it down to the ground in front of your chest. So again, we're finding some form of stability, and we can keep our body in this nice sliver shape. Flex the top foot and lift it into a hover. We'll bring this knee into the chest, or pardon me, knee in line with the hip. So not towards the chest because that'll round the low back. I really want it to keep the spine neutral, knee about in line with the hip. From here, you'll kick the leg away from you, drive the heel back without rolling the top hip back. With your exhale, draw your knee in towards you, and then inhale, lengthen it away. Exhale, bring it in, knee in line with hip. Exhale. Inhale, leg comes in. Exhale, leg goes away. Inhale, leg comes in. Exhale, leg goes away. Good, 3 more here. Breathe in and out. Last 2. Last 1. On this last one, extend the leg away and pulse the heel at a diagonally up and back for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gorgeous. Roll to your back and you'll roll over onto your left side body. I'm gonna flip around so that I can continue to face the camera. Logistically makes the most sense, but you'll roll to your back, roll over onto your left side, and we'll set ourselves up, same idea exactly onto the other side. A soft bend into the bottom knee, a stabilizing hand out in front of your chest, and you'll hover your top leg. Flex your foot so that you feel a really deep connection from your hip all the way to your heel. The more we engage the muscles, the more we engage our proprioception, our understanding and awareness of where our body is in space. Draw your knee in towards you so that it comes in line with your hip, and then send your leg away. As you send your leg away, send your air out. Inhale, you'll draw your knee in. Exhale, you'll send it away. Inhale in, exhale away. Inhale in, exhale away. Inhale and exhale. Good, breathe in and out. Take another 3 and 2 and 1. Kick the leg away, pulse it up and back. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gorgeous. Roll on to your back. Remaining here on your back, draw your right knee in towards you and keep your left foot planted on the floor. Interlace your hands at the back of your right thigh and draw your knee wide so that it's outside of your ribs, just slightly. And then flex your foot, draw your foot towards the ceiling as if you could step onto the ceiling with your right foot. Now, you might stay exactly here, holding onto the back of the thigh and just working on kicking your leg up towards the ceiling while you try to keep your knee deeply bent at a 90-degree angle. Start to extend your left leg long if that feels spacious and available in your body. And immediately for me, when I do that, my right hip starts to get hot and a little bit achy. And so I just want you to breathe through whatever is happening for you. Wherever you've got your left leg, grounding some part of it, whether that's the bottom of the foot or the back of the knee, back of the calf. Flex both feet deeply. Try to keep that right knee deeply bent at the 90-degree angle, and you might crawl your hands up towards the calf. You might even feel available to start to walk your hands all the way to the heel and interlace your fingers to the webbing around your heel, cupping your heel and then wrapping your right armpit around your kneecap. And you'll notice here that this is a lunge. This is a shape that we will do in practice in different orientations, so just noticing it here on your back. And take your right foot down to the floor. I'll do that same thing on the left side. So you'll draw your left knee in, catch the back of the thigh, and just start to guide the knee wide so it feels spacious outside of your ribs. And then from here, you'll extend your right leg away, any amount, right? So you could just toe heel it a couple inches away. You could send it so far that your leg is straight on the floor and you've flexed your right foot away from you. Continue to find that the left foot's stamping onto the ceiling. So if your foot is facing forward or any other direction, try to really be specific about this. Take a breath orienting to the side. And for me, it's like such a dramatic difference between my right and my left. This feels like ease versus the right. There's a lot of tension. And you just notice what's happening for you. Maybe crawling your hands up higher while you maintain the generous bend in your left knee. If you want to play with that webbing to webbing grip of the fingers, you crawl your hands up and wrap them around the heel. You send your breath deeply into the shape. One more breath like that. Step both feet flat to the floor, and we're gonna guide one of our blocks on the lowest setting underneath the low back. Press your hips up so that you can slide your block in underneath your low back. And set it up so that it's connected towards your tailbone underneath the boniest part of your low back. And we're gonna repeat what we did. So right knee comes in towards you, hands at the back of the thigh. And for now, I might just start by walking my hands up versus prioritizing my left leg lengthening. I'm gonna really flex the right foot and draw my hands up the leg. So if I'm catching onto my calf as a way to kind of drop my knee, this is great. And then from here, I'm gonna crawl my left foot away, and then maybe I flex the foot, and I try to keep the heel grounded as I play with this shape. You might not be able to catch as deep because we're now playing with this little bit of elevation and finding a deeper opening through the extended leg. One more big breath. Drop your right foot down to the floor and draw your left knee into your chest. Catch the back of the thigh and start to focus on this leg. Maybe holding on to your calf, your ankle, your foot. And start to reach the right leg away from you, any amount. And you work with your breath. Nice. Take both feet down to the floor. Step your feet in. Lift your hips up, slide the block out from underneath you, and keep your hips bridged. Plant your palms down to frame your hips. Tuck your tail a lot and try and drop your rib cage down to the ground. So it'll feel like you're trying to do two opposite things at once. You're trying to drop your ribs and lift your hips, and they're fighting each other here. Knit your ribs in together so that you feel a little bit of energy through your core. Hug your inner thighs towards each other so that lights all of those internal core muscles up. Really drag the ground towards you with your feet, pushing all parts of your feet down into the floor. Except maybe try to lift the arches of your feet here. Take a breath in, stay for the breath out. Try one more like that. And exhale. Good, relax your hips down onto the ground. You might windshield wipe your knees gently side to shake that out. Hug your knees in. Take a few rock and rolls up and down the length of your spine. And eventually you rock and roll up and down enough times that you'll come all the way through to a tabletop. Hands and knees, plug your palms to the ground underneath your shoulders and start to rock back to your heels and forward over your wrists. Really tug your fingers into the ground and dig them in as you lean forward. Take a few big circles of your shoulders over top of your wrists. And spin that the other way. Go ahead and pause somewhere in the center and just move your body in any way that feels good. That might be a couple of deep breaths in cat-cows, or whatever intuitive kind of wiggles you want to go through. About 3 more big breaths on your own. Walk your hands forward, one handprint, tuck your toes and lift your hips, downward facing dog. You can play with the shape when you arrive, breaking it up, quote unquote, messing it up, and playing with how you might move your body a little bit more in the shape. We'll find the center here, so that'll be feet about hips width, palms about shoulders width apart, generous bend in the knees so that you can prioritize tilting your tail up to the ceiling. And really, in any fold, we're gonna wanna prioritize the hips So it's less about getting your heels down and more about getting your hips to be the highest point so that you really find that the tailbone reaches up to the ceiling rather than the low back. So finding maybe a couple of tucks and tilts through your pelvis, tuck your butt under and stick your butt out. And you might have to really bend your knees to play with that. And when you find that feeling of really sticking your butt out, shove the ground away. Come forward into a plank pose, inhale. Exhale your knees down, downward facing dog, hips high. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees down, hips up and back. Inhale, plank. Bent knees, down dog. Inhale, plank. Bent knees, down dog. Walk your hands backwards towards your feet so you're at a forward fold at the back of your mat. Ground your heels, any kind of arm variation to drip the torso down. If you want to swing and sway, 5 big breaths here. Really nice. Release the arms, roll yourself slowly up to standing. Inhale your arms high. Find a prayer at the center of your chest. Soften your eyes or close them and just remind yourself why you turned on this video. Maybe it'll give you the stamina to continue to move through the remainder of the time that you could potentially run this video. And maybe it will help to remind you of the discipline that it takes to continue to show up to a practice like this. Dedicating time and energy. On your inhale, stretch your arms up and pause. Catch opposite elbows overhead and stretch your elbows up towards the ceiling and then a little bit wide into your palms. Take a breath in. With your exhale, sit halfway down so you come into a chair pose. You'll inhale, lift your heart and slightly pull your elbows back. And then exhale, sit even halfway down further so your belly comes down to your thighs and your elbows are still in line with your ears. Look forward, breathe in. On your exhale, forward fold, drop your head. A little bit of a swing at the bottom, anything that feels indulgent and soothing for you. We'll reverse those motions. So drop your hips halfway down so that they're in line with your knees. Lift your gaze so it's to the top of your mat. Breathe in. And then exhale, find chair. Inhale, rise up to stand. Reach your elbows up, maybe tip back with the heart. On your exhale, look forward. Good. Switch the catch of your elbows. So whatever is like the non-dominant grip, and it'll feel like maybe a little bit weird, like you never do this one. Take a breath in. Chair pose on the exhale. Inhale, lift the heart, pull the arms back. Exhale, lower halfway down again. Look forward, breathe in. Exhale, fold. Let your body hang. If you'd like to, you can find a little softness in your knees. Good, let's reverse those motions. Sit your hips halfway down, exhale your air out. Inhale, look forward. Exhale to chair. Inhale, rise up to stand, tip up and back. On your exhale, release your arms down and forward fold, release. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. And think that your hands are really just accessories for you to look about 1, maybe 2 feet slightly forward out in front of your toes. Hands are light on the shins or knees or thighs. Drag the ground apart with your heels and then release, fold. Walk your hands out to a plank pose. Take a breath in. Lower all the way down onto your belly. Tap your knees down, lower your chest to the mat. Reach your arms out in front of you into an I. And from here, we'll keep the head heavy as we move the arms in space. Kick your feet into the floor, tuck your tail a little bit. Hover your arms up, chest and head stay heavy. Pull your elbows back into a W. Inhale, stretch the arms straight. Exhale, pull them into a W. Inhale, stretch the arms straight. Exhale, W. Good. Inhale, straight. Exhale, W. 3 more here. Inhale, straight. Exhale, W. 2 more. Breathe in, straight. Exhale, W. Inhale, reach them straight. Keep them straight. Pulse your thumbs up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Relax the arms down by your sides. Maybe look off to one side for a belly savasana. Breathe into the back body. Slide your palms underneath your shoulders. Press the floor away and find your way up into a downward facing dog. Stretch your right leg up and back behind you. Flex the foot and just press the heel back as if it was an extension of the hip. I mean, you know, it kind of is, right? So hips square towards the ground just for this first one. Take a breath in. On your exhale, draw your knee to your nose and pause there for a moment. Step your foot forward by your right thumb. Take a breath in. Ground your palms all the way down to the floor as you breathe out. Inhale, you'll look down to the ground in front of your toes. And then exhale, kick your back leg stronger, maybe soften the hips towards the ground. So it's the same shape that we found on our backs, but now we're here with a different orientation to gravity. Take a breath in. Stay for your exhale. Good. Tap your back knee to the ground. Keep your chest heavy this time. And then catch opposite elbows. Keep your chest heavy again and pull your elbows up to frame your face. Take an inhale and rise up, Anjaneyasana. It's a low lunge, so you'll just stack your shoulders on top of your hips and then bend the front knee a little bit to bring the hips forward. Lift your heart. Try to bring your arms connected to your ears so your head doesn't drop back beyond your arms. Lift your gaze, maybe your heart. Take a breath in. On your exhale, release your hands to frame your front foot and back your hips up for a half split. And this is where you might take blocks to frame your front foot and hold on to them if the ground got a little bit far away. Take an inhale and lengthen your spine and a fold to deepen. Bend into your front knee, step to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Drop your head. On your inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Sweep the arms high. On your exhale, find a chair. Arms stay into a small eye overhead. Breathe in, lift your heart. Exhale, belly to thighs. Look forward to your fingertips. Take a breath in. Forward fold, let it go. Halfway lift and lengthen. Forward fold and release. Plant your hands down. Step or hop your legs back and find a plank pose. Inhale. Exhale, tap your knees, your chest and your chin to the mat. And slide forward into a cobra. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. Kick your left leg high, straight back behind you, squared hips, flexed foot. Shove through the palms a lot. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the foot through between the hands. And like if your foot doesn't land there, right? I've been practicing yoga 14 years, so I've kind of worked on this transition a little bit. So if your foot lands in the middle of your mat, grab your foot and hoist it all the way up towards the top of your mat. Ground your palms, no matter how much heat it's building in your legs, and try to tolerate it a little bit more. If it's super unbearable or you've got something going on that's maybe medical, you can always put blocks underneath your hands to give yourself some more space. But if it's just like you don't like it, try it. See what happens if you endure. You'll maybe be proud of yourself at the end of it. You tried something new, a little bit hard. One more cycle of breath like this. Tap your back knee down to the ground. Your chest stays heavy. Catch opposite elbows. Lift your elbows up, but keep your chest heavy for a moment. And now rise up. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Take your breath in. Take your breath out to lower your hips a little bit more. One more inhale here. Good. I lied. Last breath in. On your exhale, release your hands down. Half split. Straighten your front leg. Lengthen your spine, breathe in. Drop your head and try to seam at the hips by sticking your left hip back. Bend into your front knee, step into a fold at the top of your mat. Relax the back of your neck. Rise up to stand. Inhale your arms straight up. Exhale to a chair. Lift your heart, breathe in. Exhale halfway, belly to thighs. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees enough to plant your palms down. Step back to your plank pose. Your choice here to keep your knees lifted, or you'll tap them down. Exhale, lower halfway or all the way. Elbows touch your ribs for chaturanga or modified chaturanga. Lift your heart up, either a baby cobra or an upward facing dog. Lately I've been loving tucked toes. Feels a little bit nicer in my feet. Get the nice foot stretch at the same time, and it feels way better in my low back. So play with that if you'd like. Drive your heels back, press your heart forward. Downward facing dog, hips high, up and back behind you. We're gonna play that same thing. Small variation and a little bit swifter, more breath to movement, okay? So right leg kicks up, inhale. Exhale, step the foot forward by your right thumb. On your inhale, reach your right arm up to the ceiling. Revolved low lunge. Look to your right wrist. Stay here for a breath out. Another inhale to look up. On your exhale, relax your top arm down to the ground. Release your back knee down and catch opposite elbows overhead. Inhale, rise up into that low lunge. Take your breath out. Inhale here. Half split. Hands frame your front foot. Drop your head. One cycle of breath in and out. Bend into your front knee. Step forward to a halfway lift. Forward fold, let it go. Rise up to stand. Inhale your arms high. Exhale to chair. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Hands to the ground. Step your legs back. You can move through a vinyasa or simply skip it and find a downward facing dog. Kick your left leg high. Step your foot forward by your left thumb. Peel your left arm up. Breathe in. Stay for an exhale. Kick your left leg high. Exhale, step it through. Inhale, left arm up. Sit your hips lower as you breathe out. One more inhale to look up. Exhale the top arm down. Release your back knee down to the mat. Catch opposite elbows and rise up into a low lunge. Take a breath in. Let your hips lower as you exhale. One more inhale here. Release your hands down, half split. One cycle of breath. Lengthen and inhale. Deepen and exhale. Bend into your front knee, half lift, inhale. Exhale, release. Rise up to stand, arms high. Exhale to chair. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, release. Hands find your mat, down dog, or vinyasa. Good. Walk your hands backwards towards your feet and we'll take a fold at the back of the mat. Toe heel the feet as wide as the mat, heels in, toes out, sit into a primal squat. You're always welcome to sit on top of a block. But for those of you who can't ground your heels in a primal squat, there are many different things that we can do. For today, I'm gonna ask you to go a little wider. If you happen to have the ability to roll up your mat and sneak it underneath your ankles, or rather heels, that's also a nice way to bring the ground to you. Often when we can't ground our heels, it's just a lack of ankle mobility. So helping us by changing the orientation of the floor, and eventually we start to work on a little bit more compression in the front of the ankles. If you feel pretty good here without a block, you're welcome to just let your hips hang in the depth of your squat and take 3 more breaths. Rise up to stand, inhale your arms up. Exhale your hands to your low back and parallel your feet underneath you. Hug your elbows towards each other, lift your heart up, soft bend in your knees will help you back bend hips forward. You might keep drawing your chin to your chest and looking forward. You might let your head drop back. I love to add a little sway here. Really nice. Rise up to stand, inhale. Fold down, exhale. Halfway lift, lengthen, release. Walk your hands out and either move through a vinyasa or just meet me in a downward facing dog. Kick your right leg up and back behind you. Step your right foot forward for a warrior two. Ground your back heel all the way down. Sweep your arms out into a giant T shape. We're gonna immediately pay attention to our front knee. Rock your knee from side to side. And I want you to notice all of the ways that it affects your front foot, your hip. You might even start to feel things a little bit in your core, but just notice where and what you feel. And then keep the knee stacked over the second or third toe. And I want you to be able to see your big toe down in front of you. If you see your whole ankle, bend your front knee more so that you just see the big toe. Bring your arms nice and wide into that T shape. Take a breath in, sit a little lower, breathe out. Try that one more time. Straighten your front leg and pause. Flip your right palm up to the ceiling. Reach forward with your hand and back with your hips. Keep going forward and forward and forward and back with the hips and forward with the arm and back with the hips and forward with the arm and stay. Now release your right hand towards your shin or your ankle or the floor and look up to your left wrist. Take 3 big breaths. Good. Hands down to the ground, bend into your front knee, down dog split. Right leg sweeps high. Stack the hip open and maybe you just kind of hang out here in this open hip, or you bend the left knee and you flip your dog, dropping both heels down onto the floor. So you're gonna rotate your feet so that they face the back of your mat, press your hips up and really squeeze your butt, really drive your heels down. And when we use the legs, then we open up the ability to arch the spine. Top arm comes down. If you moved through that flip dog, you'll find either a vinyasa or meet us in downward facing dog. Connect with your breath again. Most yoga teachers know those cues. They're often felt out of things that we need ourselves, but also probably a good recommendation for us all. Kick your left leg high. Exhale, step it through for a warrior two. Back heel finds the mat, arms sweep wide. So you're gonna take that little play with your front knee and kind of negotiate where the heck or what the heck, side to side, forward and back. And then you'll find that place that we talked about so that we can see the big toe. And I want you to really intentionally try to lift the arches of your feet in this shape. So it might kind of feel like your toes are digging into the ground. I want you to try to soften the toes. Ground the balls of the feet, and really subtle, lift the inside of the ankle, the arch of the foot, by pressing maybe a little bit more into the knife edges of the feet. And just take 2 more breaths. One more like that. Straighten through the front leg. Flip the left palm up to the ceiling. You'll reach the hips back and the left arm forward. Hips back, left arm forward. Hips back, left arm forward. And you'll pause right here in this moment where you're pulling yourself in 2 directions. And now just relax the hand down to the shin. Stretch the right fingertips up. Keep turning your chest open towards this right side. And so that you might find the similar plank shape in how we started our practice, right? Where we're relying on our side body. Now we've just got a whole different thing happening with our lower body. One more big breath here. Top arm comes down, find a low lunge, down dog split, left leg sweeps high. You might just hang out with the hip open. You might bend the right knee, drop the right heel down, and then land the left foot down behind you. Spin your toes towards the back of the mat. Press your hips up. And if you want to play with even more, you think about rotating your right wrist. Bring your top arm down, either find a vinyasa or meet me in a downward facing dog. Kick your right leg up. Step your foot forward between your hands. Warrior two. Sweep your arms wide. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Good, one more inhale. On your exhale, find side angle. Bring your right elbow onto your right thigh and look up to your left wrist. Pause here, straighten through your front leg, keep the torso the same, and take your right hand to your shin. We're gonna play that 3 more times here. So you'll bend into your front knee, plant your elbow onto your thigh, and nothing about the torso is gonna change. Straighten the front leg, bring the hand to the shin. Good. You get 2 more like that. You'll bend into the knee, try to keep the torso as it is, and then straighten the front leg. 1 more time here. And we'll take that bend into the front knee, elbow to the thigh, and take your left hand to your left hip. Look down in front of your right toes, toe heel your back foot in until you really feel the weight pour into your right foot. You can grab your block or find the floor, balancing half moon, walking your right hand out to the right. I like to bring the block pretty far forward, a little bit more than a foot. Balancing onto the right leg and keeping the left hip open. You might get light through your right fingertips. If you want to play with shifting your gaze, you can look towards the left. If that feels really interesting, then you might lift your left arm up. Really good. We're going to land in a warrior 2. Step back, warrior 2. Straighten the front leg. Pivot the toes towards the left side of the mat. Inhale the arms up and open. Exhale, hands to your hips, lower halfway down, and fold over your 2 legs. Wide-legged straddle forward fold. And here you have 5 big breaths, so you might play with a little bit of movement. You might float into some kind of shape, or simply hang. Really good work. Lift up halfway, take your hands onto your hips, and then rise up to stand. Interlace your hands at your low back, punch your knuckles down, lift your heart up. Release to a warrior 1 at the top of your mat, pivot your 10 toes towards the front. I like to widen the feet so that the feet are a little bit more hips width distance apart, arms overhead. Take a breath in. Ground your back heel firmly as you exhale. 1 more inhale here. Interlace your hands at your low back for the exhale. Straighten your front leg, lift your heart up. If you'd like to play with a little bit more balance, you might flex your front toes towards you as you continue to punch your knuckles down and lift your heart. Bend your front knee, ground your front foot, and fold forward for humble warrior. Try to keep your tail reaching towards your left heel, so don't let it wag towards the right side of your mat. It's like your outer right hip is hugging towards your left inner thigh. Soften the toes, but lift the arches of the feet. Relax the arms down. You'll either take a pyramid fold, straightening through your front leg and folding your head down, or you might play with a standing split, pouring the weight forward into your right leg and kicking your left leg away from the mat. Personally, I'd rather be in a pyramid fold, but you have the opportunity to kick your leg high. Land your back foot down and we'll find a low lunge, hands framing your right foot. Step back, you can move through a vinyasa or meet us in a dog. Kick your left leg high. Step it through for warrior 2. Open your arms up. Take a breath in. Sit into it. 1 more inhale, wide ribs, wide reach. Exhale, even if you can't sit lower, think that you deepen into the shape with your mind. Side angle, bring your left elbow onto your thigh and reach your other hand up to the ceiling. So from here, we'll keep our torso the same. Straighten through the front leg, reach your hand down towards your left wrist and bump your hips backwards for triangle pose. Bend into your front knee, come into side angle. Straighten the front leg, reach your hand to your shin, bump the hips back. Good. And we'll take that 2 more times. Bend the knee and straighten the leg. One more time here. And this time we'll remain with the leg bent. Take your hand to your hip, right hand to your hip. Toe heel your back foot in as you look down in front of your left toes. Get the weight into your left foot. Feel like you're really standing on it. And grab your block, slide it out to the left. Lift your right leg. Balancing half moon. Looking to the ground. Maybe shifting the gaze towards the right. Maybe floating the right hand up. And finding even more space away from the ground. So shoulders stack in line with hips. Heel in line with hips. Big step back to your warrior two. Arms open wide. Straighten the front leg. Inhale the arms up. Pivot all 10 toes towards the right. Take your hands onto your hips. Lower halfway down. And then all the way down. This time we'll take a middle split. So for some of us, being here might be our equivalent of doing a middle split, and that's fabulous. I love that for you. If you feel totally enough in your inner thighs, stay. If you'd like to play with challenging a little bit more here, you'll walk your feet out. And continue to use your strength as you toe heel your feet apart, toe heel your feet apart. Your palms might stay on the ground if you're at a certain level, like level not in terms of like level 1, level 2, level 3, like literally your elevation away from the ground. You might only be able to reach with your hands. You might be able to reach the ground with your elbows. Try to take 3 more breaths. Walk your palms down, toe heel your feet back in underneath you until you come into your wide-legged straddle fold. Halfway lift, inhale, hands to your hips, rise up all the way, interlace your hands the potentially weird way at your low back, punch your knuckles down, lift your heart. Good, warrior one to the front of your mat, pivot your toes, widen your stance, lift your arms. Orient your chest forward, your hips forward, and deepen your breath. One more inhale. Interlace your hands at your low back, punch your knuckles down, lift your heart, straighten your front leg, and maybe flex the toes as you continue to back bend. Bend the front knee and humble warrior dive down. Let your arms fall forward. Keep them connected. Maybe your shoulder drips even deeper, so getting connected to the left knee. You might let your shoulder drip to the inside of the knee so that the crown of the head gets closer to the floor. Release the arms, pyramid fold or standing split, straightening the front leg and dropping the torso, or finding your way into your standing split by bending into your front knee and kicking your back leg away from the mat. If you're in standing split, prioritize dropping the torso, so really bring your head towards your bottom shin. You might even bend your bottom leg a heck of a lot to do that, and kick your top leg straighter and higher. Land into a low lunge, step back, move through a vinyasa or meet us in a dog. Right leg up, weave it through for half pigeon, right knee goes behind your right wrist. And we'll stay lifted for a moment. I like to take the back foot, tuck the toes and lift the knee. And for me, really powering up the back leg helps me to lower the pelvis. Tap the back knee down, the top of the foot down, adding a little back bend. Your hands might stay forward as you continue to find a connection with your back foot, and then noticing how it connects to your heart and your front body, and how if you kick down, you're maybe better able to send your chest forward. Hands could come in to lift up. One more big breath. And take a twist. Left elbow to the ground. You might plant the whole forearm down and take your right hand to your low back, look over the shoulder. One more breath here. turn to face over your shin, and you can fold down towards the ground. I'm a big fan of taking a block at an angle underneath my sternum and then one underneath my forehead. So I'm going to do that here. You're welcome to continue to linger. Start to lift your chest. Walk your hands in underneath you. Tuck your back toes and slide your right heel underneath your right sit bone and stand on your shins at the top of the mat. When you come to standing onto your shins, you'll gather your hands at your low back and we'll set up for a camel pose. If there's any variation that you know and love, feel free to take something alternate than what I'm showing you here. Hug your elbows towards each other, tuck your tail, and think that you go up before you go back. Keep pressing your hips forward so that your hips stay on top of your knees. Even if you're someone who wants to reach back for your heels, try to keep pressing your hips forward and finding that feeling of going forward and up and back. And then the shins go down into the ground, so moving in all the different directions at once. Head is the last thing to rise. Hips to your heels, take 2 big breaths. And when you're ready, down dog, if you'd like to take a vinyasa, you're welcome to add a last one in here. Left shin comes forward for half pigeon on the other side. If you took the back leg lift to straighten that leg more and help you lengthen the back hip more, go for that. We'll add a back bend before we drop down. So hands come to the ground. If you'd like to slide your hands up your front shin or reach them back or any other variation, you're welcome to take that here. For today, in my body, I'm gonna keep it moderate. Thinking hips down, heart forward, breath in and breath out. We'll add our twist. So the right elbow is going to come to the ground somewhere near your left knee. Left hand can come to the low back. Think that you send your crown forward and roll your left shoulder back as you try to look over the shoulder. Another breath. Turn to face forward and fold, maybe using a prop setup, maybe not. Start to lift your chest. Walk your hands in. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee up and slide your left heel underneath your sit bone. Step to your shins at the top of the mat and we'll sit to the heels for a hero's pose, also called a virasana. And we're gonna practice some Supta Virasana here. So it's on our back in a virasana. You'll try to sit in between your heels. And for me, like, my knees don't love that. So I like to sit on a block, and you're also welcome to sit on a blanket if you want like slightly less cushion than a block. But if that's a good amount, block underneath you. You can take your hands to your calves and externally rotate them so they go a little bit wider, and then maybe the tissue of the calves is kind of not interfering as much with the back of the knee joint. We'll take our second block and bring it behind us, and that's ideally where our upper back is gonna go. So hands to the ground behind you, small tuck of your tail, and place your hips back down. And for me, I kind of have to work a little bit here to figure out where the heck I want this block. And then once I've found that place right at the back of my heart, about the shoulder blade direction, you can arch yourself over, maybe letting your arms just dangle overhead. You can find that same catch opposite elbows that we've played with, or anything else that works. Let your body continue to spill in this shape. I chose a block on the third setting, but know that you could choose a lower setting. You could always just lie down on the floor if Supta Virasana, laying down, works well in your body. Roll yourself back up. Remove the block from behind you. Remove the block from underneath you and swing your legs forward. Take your hands to the tissue of your bums and slide that tissue and kind of pull it out and back. Catch the backs of your thighs. Lift your heart up. Lengthen your spine. And then forward fold over your two legs. And drop your head low towards your shins. Here's another place where you might use a block underneath your forehead so that you can rest your head against something. You can always create a tower too, to have the blocks really meet wherever your head lands. Roll yourself up into a seat, and we'll take one block with us and lie on our backs. So there's a lot of ways that we can practice a plow pose. I am just a big fan of a supported plow, so I'll guide us through that, but know that like that's what we're doing here. You could just do a plow pose, you could do a happy baby, and I'm gonna guide us through a supported plow. I'm gonna extend my legs up to the ceiling into a waterfall. And I'm just gonna feel this here for a second, kind of let the lower back unload, let the legs unload a little bit. And from here, I am gonna slide a block underneath me. So I'll plant my feet down, I'll slide a block underneath me. I like to do the second setting, and I'm gonna put it a little bit higher than my tailbone. And it's like not gonna be necessarily super functional and comfortable right now, but then from here, I'm gonna tilt my pelvis away from the block and hover my hips so that I can plant the block at an angle somewhere on my back. I like to do it pretty low on my back so that it doesn't like poke me in the spine. And this is a rounded plow. So I've got my hips basically in a happy baby, and they're slightly elevated away from the ground. I've got my knees towards my armpits and my feet dangling overhead. And I might extend my arms into a big Y or V overhead. And that's a rounded plow, and I can stay here and just live my life and breathe. If you really like to stack your hips over top your shoulders, you're welcome to find a little bit more of a traditional plow. I think that the shape has a lot of value in restoration. It's a slightly different function, a slightly different feeling. You're welcome to continue to linger in your shapes. You'll start to bring yourself away from the ground. As I'm exiting this shape and my block's at an angle, I usually send one leg to the ground, kind of catch the block, send the other leg, and then lift the hips up, set my block off to the side. And in any resting shape that you'd like, I'm gonna use my blocks to set up a butterfly, supported butterfly, so that the shape's a little bit more sustainable for me. My inner thighs start to hurt when I just don't have blocks to kind of stop me from going really deep into this shape. And then these blocks create boundaries so that you don't overextend and you can still feel this openness and restoration without feeling a strain and like you need to get out of the shape. Hands can come to your belly, and we're gonna end practice with a breathwork exercise. So either softening your gaze to the ceiling or closing your eyes. I'll guide us the whole way, but the breath is gonna be 2 sharp inhales through the nose and a big breath out. It'll sound like this. Cool, so we're gonna do it together, all right? So breathe in, exhale completely, and then begin. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Empty completely and hold the air out. Breathe in. Exhale. Feel your heart rate settle. Feel any buzz settle. You're welcome to linger in this meditative stillness for several more minutes. And that is about all for our time today. Thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day wherever you are. Thank you so much for taking your time and your attention to practice with me today. I know that those are finite resources in our life, and I just feel really grateful that you would spend some of those resources with me. So really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for doing that. Anything that you feel that you want to contribute to this platform, to me as a creator, is immensely helpful. If you engage with this video in any way, if you like it, if you comment, if you subscribe to this channel, it is so supportive for creators like me. So thank you again if you are able to do those things. If you'd like to find more things that I do, you can find more at themovementhabit.com, and I've got a library there that I release new videos and classes every month, and hopefully more and more to come. Please do let me know what resonates and what you want to see more of. Thanks. I'll see you soon.